Hey folks, Eddie Lazary here with Educated Veteran, and happy Monday everyone. This one is from, we'll call her Jenny. Jenny wrote multiple applications with the same company. So here's what she wrote. Hello all, I am not exactly new to this group, but this is my first discussion post. I am transitioning within the next 120 days. There are a few target companies I would love to work for, one of which I recently had a video interview with. I am wondering if it would reflect negatively to apply for another position in that company while I am still under consideration for the first position. Any thoughts or advice? Now, Jenny, that's a great question. Many people don't consider this. A lot of people just apply to one job and then they just sit there and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And then they get, they either have an interview and then it doesn't go any further, and so they apply to another job and then they wait and wait. That's the bad approach. When you're looking for a job, you need to really blanket the market. I'm talking about applying to multiple jobs all at the same time. So the question really becomes, what about applying to a different role within the same company that you're already interviewing for a position for? And a lot of people may have different opinions about this. And my take on that is this: I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing from a hiring manager's perspective, or even from a human resources perspective. That shows that you care more about getting a job within that company than necessarily working in that particular job. Another thing that it shows is the fact that you're willing to do multiple different tasks within that company, or multiple different roles. As a hiring manager, if I'm looking to fill maybe a couple of different positions, perhaps I've already submitted one rec and it's out there and available on all the job boards and it's being advertised, but maybe I've got 3 other job positions that I'm currently writing job recs for, and you all of a sudden apply to a couple of different positions within the company. You may end up actually being a great candidate for one of these other roles that's not even posted yet. And it shows me as the hiring manager that you're open to 2 different roles, different jobs within the same company. Not only that, but I'm a hiring manager and I get your application and I've done a phone interview with you like you've just described. And then I see that you're applying to other roles. That doesn't necessarily mean that you don't want to work for me or work in this particular role, but it shows that you could perhaps be a good candidate for, let's say I have a friend, another hiring manager of mine, and I know he has some positions over in his department he's looking to fill. I may float him your resume and say, hey, she's interested in working in this company. I've reviewed her resume. I even had a phone interview with her. She might be a great candidate for the position that you're looking to fill. So those are a couple of advantages to doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, here's a couple of caveats to that. If you are applying to a position online and you've submitted your resume and everything through an online portal, in some instances, some companies, if you try to apply to another position within that same portal, it may completely boot you out or lock your account or freeze you totally or altogether. And that has nothing to do with somebody on the other end locking you out. That's just a trigger within that particular system that company is using. In that case, it would probably be a good idea for you to contact whoever their point of contact is on their end, the human resources end of things, whoever's managing the website interface of that portal, and let them know what you're doing. I'm trying to apply for multiple jobs within the company, and it's locking me out, or it's booted me or froze my account or something like that. But typically, if you're just applying in a standard process, or you're applying to multiple jobs through different portals or through different, like Indeed, for example, is a good one I recommend, then it's just a word of warning there, just a word of caution that could happen. Another thing, too, to consider is you got to be careful of the jobs that you're applying to. Make sure that they're comparable in pay scale, but they're also comparable in responsibility. For example, Jenny, if you're applying to, let's say, a role as an executive administrative assistant, for example, and that's great. And then let's say you apply to another role within that same company, but that job is the director of manufacturing. Well, the director of manufacturing and an executive assistant are completely different skill sets. It requires a lot of different skill sets to perform each of those roles. It's going to be a vastly different pay scale in terms of a monetary compensation. And so I would be very, very cautious with applying to multiple jobs within the same company that are too varying in degrees of experience, pay scale, or education level. So just, you can apply it. And the other thing is, so pay scale is one thing. The other thing is skill set. So if you're applying to a job, let's say as something in the financial field, maybe it's accounts payable or accounts receivable that requires a heavy financial accounting background, and you're applying to another role over here that's QA, quality assurance, that requires a heavy engineering background. Now, there are people out there that have dual degrees that may have a financial accounting background as well as an engineering background, and in that case, yeah, you could definitely apply to both. But if you've got, let's say, an engineering degree with no accounting experience, then applying to that accountant role may not be your best option. So there you go. So you make sure that those multiple roles that you're applying within that same company are comparable in pay scale within that company and comparable within skill sets that you have the ability to demonstrate your ability to do those jobs through experience and or education. So there you go. I hope that helps anybody that's had that question before. I hope that helps answer that question for you. And again, this is Eddie Lazary helping you become an educated veteran. Have a great week.